So before I start the episode, this was recorded like nearly a month back. So if you hear me, the regulars, or one of the guests reference that today is a certain day, that's because this episode was recorded on that day. But other than that, on with the episode.
Hello, welcome to the Loney Show. I'm your host, John Maloney, and in this episode, I brought on regular Eric Taylor, and as for our guest, she is from Maple, Canada. She is an award-winning actor, writer, producer, and an Amazon #1 best-selling author. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jennifer Lieberman.
Hello. It's nice to be on the show today.
Great. So, how's life?
It's pretty cold up where I am. It's negative 15 degrees Celsius, which you will understand, Eric. I'll translate to that for you. It's like in the 20s.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
terrible.
super
That's
cold, and
terrible.
we've got like 2.5 feet of snow that we've had for many, many weeks now. So yeah, it's a frigid Canadian winter where I am. How about you guys?
Manchester's kind of alright. Yeah, the temperature
I mean,
right
yeah,
now
they-
is like 8 or 9 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's nice. It's above
mean-
freezing. What a pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, and
What
yeah,
about you, Eric?
around. Oh yeah, New York. I think it snowed. I think it snowed yesterday, but the snow didn't stick to the ground. It just mainly stick to the cars and the trees. And yeah, but right now it's like somewhere in the 30s. It's cold, but it's not that bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wish it was in the 50s or 60s because I don't know, for some reason we don't consider that cold. I don't know. I feel like anyone else would consider like the 40s, 50s.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to deal with, the 40s or 50s right now. It's been a couple of months since we've been, that warm here, so I'd welcome it.
Yeah. So Jennifer, tell us about what you do for a living.
Well, I guess in simplest terms, I'm an actor who started writing and producing to give myself acting jobs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any acting jobs for in the past?
So since the pandemic, I've only had one acting gig where we shot a film on Zoom. So this was like during the initial lockdown in 2020. So that was like my last acting gig, and I've done a little bit of stand-up comedy when I was in LA last spring, but in Ontario, Canada, where I am, the theaters haven't opened up yet. We actually just came out of a lockdown 2 weeks ago. Restaurants just opened again, gyms, things like that. So it's been really slow going here in terms of like gigs.
Yeah. Lockdowns in Manchester and all of the UK is starting to ease a bit. In fact, they're going to lift all the restrictions and start, quote, living with COVID, apparently. But yeah, COVID lockdowns is actually off to a really great start for this
Yeah,
year.
that's great.
Wait,
And what about New York, Eric?
uh well, we were able to do a lot of things, but like, you have to wear a mask wherever you go. That's about it. That's about all I know.
Yeah,
You can pretty much do a lot of things here. I mean, like still some things are like I don't think a lot of things down in New York are really as strict as it was, earlier on in COVID. But like, you can pretty much do a lot. You just have to wear a mask.
yeah,
That's about it. And
yeah.
some of the
Toronto.
people. Oh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
go
You
ahead.
saying? Oh yeah,
I
but
was
like oh,
all
sorry.
good. I was just gonna say, yeah, since the vaccines came out, things opened up again. But then, as like flu season kind of flared up, they decided to close things again where I am. Whereas, from my understanding, in the U.S., they didn't really start closing as flu season flared up. They just figured, you got your vaxes, you got your boosters, you wear your mask, and life goes on as usual.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how I see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not really that concerned, but it's cool. I mean, I'm wearing my mask, so it's like I have nothing to worry about. I got the vaccines. Yeah, I'm just gonna live my life,
Yeah,
you know.
I
I
feel the
feel
same way.
So tell us about your best-selling book on Amazon.
Oh, yes. So I have a best-selling novel. It's called Year of the What, and it's a romantic comedy. It won the Scribblesworth Book Review Best Rom-Com of 2021. I found that out last month, so that was like super, super, super exciting for me. And
wow.
it's kind of like a sex positive coming of age female empowerment piece, and it was adapted from my award-winning one-woman play called Year of the Slut. And I had a little trouble publishing it with the title Year of the Slut, so I adapted the title to Year of the What. But basically, they're the same story. And basically, it's about a young woman in her early 20s who gets out of her first relationship. She's completely heartbroken, and her extremely promiscuous dominatrix roommate encourages her to go on an adventure of sexual discovery in order to find herself and find out what she really wants out of life, instead of making, getting a boyfriend and getting married her only goal.
Hmm. Is this about someone you know personally, or is it about you, or is this just something you just came up with like out of the
So
blue one day?
So it began as a one-woman show, and it loosely, the story, the seeds of the first incarnation of it loosely began with my life and my experience. I actually had the title first before I had the
Hmm.
show. I'm pretty good with titles. I can come up with kind of clever, grabbing titles. So I had that first and wrote the show around the title. And yeah, it was loosely based on my experience and my first breakup with my first boyfriend in New York. And, kind of navigating the daunting New York dating world as a naive girl from Canada. But in all honesty, like, my life isn't interesting enough to be a play or be a book. I wish it was, but then again, if it was, it probably wouldn't be writing about it. I'd be too busy living it. Like, like Tallulah Bankhead said, like, good girls keep a diary, bad girls don't have time. So, um, so I did borrow quite a few stories and then use my imagination to come up with the story arc and to make it something really fun and outrageous, but also heartfelt. Like, you really have all the feels. Like, I want people to kind of go through the journey and have a good time. I want to make people laugh, cry, and horny all at the same time. And I think this book does it.
Well, the book has everything I like, you know. I like comedy. I like love. I don't know. I like it all. Pretty much, that book has everything I like. Pretty much, I'll probably give it a read.
Thank you. Actually, one of my favorite reviews that I got for it on Amazon is a friend of mine read it, and he was like, "I never thought I'd like a girly chick lit novel because it doesn't have like lifesavers and dragons." But he ended up really liking it and feeling like it was a book that anyone could appreciate, whether you're male or female. So I hope that's the case.
Oh,
I
okay.
like. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, I like it already, and I haven't even read it. It's like
Have
I
you
don't
written
know.
anything else?
Yeah, I've written quite a few things actually. So I've written a few short films that I was able to produce, and I actually came across the pond to the Cambridge Film Festival in 2018. My film screened there. This film was called Details. I tend to write stuff that's relationship driven. And Details was about a couple whose relationship is deteriorating, and I decided to film it with several different couples and intercut it as one experimental piece of film. So I have I have a lesbian couple, a gay couple, a straight couple, all kind of experiencing the same script and the same dialogue. So that was something I really wanted to explore because I believe that it doesn't matter, your sexual preference or your gender. We all go through the same emotions when we're in love. We all kind of experience the same roller coaster ride. Another piece that I wrote was called Leash, and that also is a relationship driven. It's an erotic thriller, and it's not about a dog. So, yeah, so that one also is about a couple, going through a difficult transition. And then I have, well, of course, the play Year of the Slut before it became a novel. And I have 2 how-to books that I wrote during the pandemic. I recorded my own audiobook and I messed up so much that I had to throw out 2 months of work and start again. So I wrote a book called How to Record and Publish Your Audiobook in 7 Simple Steps. And then I also very randomly was sent some executives to coach on their online presence because they had trouble engaging with their teams. So kind of giving them some tips from the film world and the acting world. So I also wrote How to Master Your Virtual Meeting in 7 Simple Steps.
I don't know why, but I thought you. I don't know why, but I thought you were gonna say how to masturbate for a minute. I don't know why. I really thought you. I really.
Oh, Eric, what are you like?
Very dirty-minded. That's me.
Well, self-love is important, and if you
Classic
haven't
Eric.
mastered self-love, it's going to be really hard to accomplish it with someone else.
Yeah. I don't know. But I love films and shows that are love-driven and emotion-driven too. Like I don't know. I really want to check out these films because I don't know. I love stuff like that.
Thanks.
Even though I don't have it, even though I don't have it in my life, for some reason I like it. It's weird.
Well, I think romance is what drives all of us as humans. Like most of the songs written, most of the stories written, it's all about want that need for human connection and wanting to be accepted and wanting to be appreciated. So I think it's a universal desire that we all have and we can all relate to.
Yeah, you have no idea how many love songs I listen to on a daily. I don't it's I don't even be feeling it. I just listen to them because I like them. I don't even be feeling them emotional at times. It's I just listen to them. So I love them.
A lot of the greatest songs out there are love songs for sure.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer, what was life like in Canada?
Well, growing up in Canada, I grew up outside of the city in a rural neighborhood. That's not rural anymore because evolution, you can't stop a city from growing. So I actually grew up feeling quite isolated. And I think that's why I would escape to my imagination a lot. And I would write a lot as a kid. And I always wrote knowing that I wanted to perform the stuff that I write. So that seed was planted really early on in my childhood. I explained that I started writing when I was 8 because I wanted to be Zach Morris's girlfriend on Saved by the Bell. So I'd write episodes of the TV show where I'd be some new girl at Bayside High. And I also was a competitive gymnast. So I spent a lot of my life at the gym training, 20, 30 hours a week at a really young age. And because it's a solo sport, I wasn't really, I didn't really make a lot of friends at the gym. I also think it's because I was a little younger than the other girls that I was training with. So yeah, I would focus on on training and I'd focus on writing, but I did always feel kind of isolated, and that's probably why I write.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. I felt isolated myself too. But I'll be honest. It wasn't a matter of fact that I felt isolated. It's the fact that I just did that to myself. I wasn't usually really a talk. I wasn't really a talker when I was younger. And I really only had a handful of friends, if you could even call like 2 or 3 people a handful. But yeah, I didn't have that many friends either.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And I went to school like an hour away from where I lived. So, it wasn't really like an option to go, to a friend's house after school because we live so far away. My mom would come get us on her way home from work and just take us home right away. And I'd usually get dropped off at the gym on the way home and be there until like 9 o'clock at night, and then come home, eat dinner, do my homework, and start all over again the next day. But I actually was super outgoing. Like I had no problem talking to strangers or talking to anybody or getting up in front of a crowd. I always had, the confidence to like be in front of people. I think it was just harder because of the logistics of where I lived.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, I can see. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So, have besides camera work on television or short films, have you appeared in any theatre productions on stage?
Yes, and I have to say, like living in London and performing in the West End is like top of my bucket list. My my first love is the theater. Like film is great, and I would love, to land a TV show or get some bigger film projects. Like that's definitely a dream of mine. But I moved to New York when I was 20, and I ended up running a small theater company in the East Village. And I did quite a bit of theater and continue to do theater. The last play that I was in before the lockdown was called With a Little Help. It's John Belushi. If you guys have seen the movie Animal House, that was him starring in that movie. It's an old movie. And he was one of the original cast members of Saturday Night Live. And so it was a play about him, and I played his wife, and I also doubled as Gilda Radner. Gilda Radner was a comedian in the 70s and 80s. She died of cancer quite young. She was married to Gene Wilder, who was the original Willy Wonka. If you guys saw the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. Same.
So Gilda Radner was married to Gene Wilder, and they were kind of this like brilliant comedic duo in the 80s. And she was actually the first member of the Saturday Night Live cast. She was the first one who ever signed a contract to work on Saturday Night Live. So, yeah, so I got to play her off Broadway in New York at Theater 80 in the East Village. And that was like a phenomenal experience. It was such a fun production. And yeah, it ended just before Christmas of 2019. And then I was scheduled to do another play in 2020 called Shiksa Wives, which is a play that I wrote with a writing partner. But because of the pandemic, we were never able to do it. And we've discussed doing it again, or trying to, not do it again, but, produce it because we never got to. But we just kind of feel like the world has changed so much, and the climate right now isn't really conducive to that piece. It's not really relevant anymore, which happens with writing sometimes. Sometimes it takes too long to get something going, and you just kind of miss the boat on it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. I understand that.
Any celebrities you would dream to work with?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so many. I So Sean Penn is one of my favorite actors. I know he's a little controversial, and I don't
Oh, yeah.
know. I think there's like
Oh
lots of stories out there about
yeah.
him, but he's in my favorite movie, She's So Lovely. And ever since I saw that movie, like, when I was very young, like he's been one of the number one celebrities I'd love to work with. I'd also love to work with Rebel Wilson. I think she's hilarious. I would love to work on some sort of comedic piece with her. Also Jennifer Coolidge. She's also a hilarious comedic actress that I would absolutely, pee my pants to get the opportunity to work with her. Yeah, I guess it's hard. There's like a huge list. Like David Lynch is probably one of the number one directors I'd want to work with. And of course, Quentin Tarantino. Like those are probably the top two directors I dream of working with. Yeah, their stuff is kind of out there, and those are the types of movies that I like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So outside of acting and writing like best-selling books for Amazon, was there anything? Have you ever thought of your life going anywhere else? Like, have you ever thought of doing anything else outside of that? Like book outside of that? Like before you decide to start acting and like writing books and all that?
That's actually a great question. So if I didn't go into a creative field, I probably would be a chemist right now working in a lab. In school, I was really strong in chemistry and physics. Those were like my two strongest subjects. It's funny because I didn't do well in English. Any of the subjects in school I had to write an essay, I did very, very poorly. So it's so weird that like I ended up a writer because I really struggled with writing essays and articulating ideas when I was in school. But anything that was kind of like math based, biology I wasn't great at because it was more memorization. But like the formulas in chemistry and physics are all based in mathematics, and that was like my strongest subject. So I definitely think I might have been a pharmacist or some sort of chemist if I wasn't creative.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's funny. I'm one of those people who uses both sides of my brain equally, which isn't so common. I know most people either tend towards the creative side or they tend towards the kind of analytical mind. But yeah, I'm kind of split right down the middle.
I don't know. I guess people like, choose only one side to use because that's their strong. They know that's like where they're strongest at.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, when it comes to that.
yeah. Like it always frustrates me, when people write off math and be like, "Oh, math is hard," and people are just kind of given a pass that like they don't have to work at it because it's considered hard. Because I considered English hard, and I still had to learn the language.
I mean, defense, math is pretty hard. But I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know how to do it. It's just that I don't know. I can do math, but then after I'm done with it, I literally after I'm done doing that certain problem and it's out of the way, I literally forget the material. I don't know why. I just forget the material until it's presented to me again.
Yeah, that makes
It's like,
sense. That makes sense. But I think that's like anything in life, if we're out of practice, whether it's playing an instrument or playing a sport, if we're out of practice because we're not flexing that muscle, it is going to be a little fuzzy or, you know, challenging to get
yeah.
back in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and English is relatively hard too. It's like, I don't really like writing essays. I don't really like writing essays, but I do it. I mean, either that or I just, I don't know. Yeah, nah. I mean, it's not hard, but it's hard, especially
Yeah.
when your like heart is just not in it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, like, because I've taught, I was the performing arts director at a school, and the other thing too is when we're having fun learning something, we have a better chance of actually retaining the information. And I think it's a challenge for teachers to teach math in a way that's fun. You know, you can teach history in a fun way, you can teach literature in a fun way, you know, in a more interactive way. But with math and science, it's kind of harder to tell a story about those subjects that can get people interested the way like the humanities can be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
What was the funniest moment you've had?
Like on stage, off stage, just in general.
Just in general.
The funniest, well, I'd say like the most embarrassing moment I've had was like being like a chubby kid in high school, like chasing after the ice cream truck during the lunch break and having like my whole class laughing at me out the window.
Oh no.
Oh, I mean,
Oh
you didn't,
my.
I mean, yeah, you didn't hear me laugh. I was like,
Oh no, that's
wait.
okay. I laugh about it now. It's like lunch was like just ending and everybody was already in class. And I was like, it was a hot day. And I was like, oh, maybe I can catch this ice cream truck before like I have to be in class. And like as I'm walking towards it, it starts driving away and I'm like running and like five like you know like the cool guys in my classroom were like hanging out the window laughing and pointing at me. That was, yeah, that was pretty funny. I'd put it in a script or a story today.
Oh
uh,
man. Yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
uh,
I it's funny, like at the time it was like terrible. I didn't want to come out of the bathroom for the rest of the day. But looking back on it, I really don't take myself so seriously anymore. And you know, I'm okay at making fun of myself.
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. I don't take myself seriously either. You know.
Yeah, same. I do it all the time. Sometimes
Ex-
intentionally. But yeah, it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly.
I just have a joke
Exactly.
about it and just move on.
Shoot, I go off on myself. I go off on myself sometimes just for being a simp. I'm like, you simp. What did you do? Like, just what did you do? Like, why would you like why would you write this long paragraph to this person? Like, why would you do that? Damn. Like, because what? Because
Yeah.
once, because once, I really went in on myself because like I had a crush in high school and I wrote a long texted paragraph on Instagram on why I liked her. I was like, Eric, why would you do this to yourself, bro? She doesn't like you. It's like, damn.
Yeah, and
It's
like
like,
high school is the worst for that kind of thing
Oh.
because, you know,
yeah,
everyone gets so touchy and mean and yeah, it's really challenging. I'm still getting over high school.
yeah, yeah. And on top of that, and on top of that, I got like we weren't even dating, and I got her flowers. I was like, I mean, I was only mad because she had a bunch of other flowers. I was like, oh God, Eric, why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, why would you
It's
do
like
this to yourself?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just I really don't know. Shoot. I'm like, Eric, you don't need to, until you evaluate yourself, you don't need to be in a relationship, bro. All right. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one time I went up to a guy in junior high and told him that I liked him. Because I told my friends that I thought he was cute, and one girl's like, I dare you to go tell him you like him. And I thought I was such a tough cookie at the time that I was like, fine, I'll take any dare. And I did. And like the guy just looked at me like had no idea how to respond or what to say or what to do. And it was just so awkward. It was just the most awkward
I,
experience.
I mean, I mean, hey, at least you had the balls to actually go up to your crush and tell him you like him. I didn't even have the balls to do that.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah, I respect that. I didn't even have the balls to do that to my crush. Like, bro, my friends would try to hype me up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I go halfway, then I turn back. I'm like, I can't do
Nope.
this. I can't. Oh, I would make any excuse. I'd be like, bro, she has to be alone. She has to be alone. And every time when she was, I still didn't do anything. I was like, okay, I'm never gonna do this. I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
it's so hard. It's so hard to like, you know, reveal our feelings because there's always like stakes and nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to set themselves up for disappointment or like ridicule, especially like when you're in a high school or junior high setting, like a school setting, because then everybody gossips and makes fun of you and it becomes a thing
I'll,
until the
I'll be
next
honest.
until the next thing, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Ironically, I can care. I didn't care any. I didn't really care about that. I didn't really care about people talking about me because it's like, bro, if you really think, feel that way or think that way, then say it to my face. I mean, I probably won't do anything, but I'd probably respect you a little bit more if you just, I don't know, at least make fun of me in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least make fun of me at least make fun of me in front of me. Like some people actually did that. I was like, eh, I just didn't really care because I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, I at the time, this was a time when I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. It's like that's how you feel.
I hear ya.
It's like,
I hear ya. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, that's all we have for this episode. It was great having you, Jennifer, and telling us about your journey as an actor, writer, and author. It was quality, absolutely mint.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun chatting with you guys.
and before we go, do you have any advice for any aspiring actors or authors?
Yeah, well, it's advice for just life in general. Make your own break. You have the power to create your own opportunities. You don't have to be in Hollywood. You don't have to be, you don't have to be signed by a big publishing company. All the success that I've been able to, achieve in my life has come from me deciding that I wasn't going to wait around for somebody to pick me and that I was going to create the opportunities for myself. So you start small, you start with the resources you have, and just take one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, and eventually you're going to cross paths with the right people, the right collaborators, and the right opportunities. So make your own break.
That is some rare, very great advice and a great way
I
to
love
end
it.
this podcast.
The
I love
same
it.
exact advice I live by.
Yeah, let me give that a round of applause. See it.
Aw, thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
All right, it was great having you, Jennifer. It was really great having you.
Yes, thank you so much. I had fun. Happy Valentine's Day to you guys.
And to
Not
you
a happy.
too.
And to
And
you
until
too,
next.
even though
With
it's
that
not a
being
happy
said,
one for me.
anyway, with that being said, until next time, stay tuned for more.